Tennessee travels to Missouri, two top 25 teams, two loss teams at this point in the year. The spread, Tennessee is now a 1.5 point favorite. They were a 1 point favorite as of about Tuesday morning. So the money's coming in on Tennessee. The over-under set at 58.5. Couple thoughts here. One, for those of you who are desperate for a 12-team college football playoff, a year from now, this would be a game that's kind of that fringe, kind of like a bubble game, which would be kind of cool to think about. But beyond that, let me also say this, is that this game actually does have real implications for the SEC title race, and it's because of what we talked about with the Georgia-Ole Miss game. I think everybody has just presumed that Alabama and Georgia are playing in the SEC championship game. No. As of right now, neither team has officially clinched. And in the East, we actually have a very fascinating scenario. If Tennessee wins on Saturday at Missouri, they're a 1.5 point favorite. We're going to preview the game in a minute. And if Georgia loses to Ole Miss next week, that sets up a de facto SEC East championship game on Rocky Top next week. So basically, if Georgia loses to Ole Miss, if Tennessee beats Missouri, both of those teams will go into next weekend essentially playing for the SEC East title. Now, in theory, Tennessee still has Vanderbilt after that, so maybe something crazy happens there. But for the most part, this is a big game with big implications, especially for Tennessee, as they are still very much in the SEC title race. Now, in terms of this game itself, listen, we'll get back to Tennessee in a minute. But I just mentioned Georgia. They, of course, beat Missouri last week. And Missouri, this is just a bad break on the schedule. And the reason being, they're really beat up after the Georgia game. You know, this kind of feels like a body blow game. I mentioned a minute ago about all the injuries across college football. Well, Missouri is dealing with as many as anybody in the sport right now, okay? So first off, Luther Burden, their star wide receiver, really unfortunate. He gets hurt in the second half of that Georgia game. It felt like it was competitive, and it just felt like Missouri could not make any major moves once he left the game. Beyond that, Eli Drinkwitz talked about it this week. Brady Cook, these guys are probably going to play, but are nowhere near 100%. Brady Cook, the starting quarterback. Theo Wees, the second leading receiver behind Luther Burden. And then also Cody Schrader, the star running back. They're all banged up going into this week. We don't fully know their statuses, although we expect them to play. And then you counter that with Tennessee. Let me say this. It pains me as a UConn alum because Tennessee played UConn last week, and Tennessee basically treated it like an exhibition game. You know, there was a bunch of players that were hurt that all sat out. Josh Heupel basically said, he gave the old, if we needed him, we could have had him play, but we decided to rest him, which was like a knife through my heart when he said that, but it worked out well for them. They're actually probably about as healthy as you possibly can be going into a huge 2-game stretch here in the back end of the season, obviously, again, with at Missouri and then Georgia at home this week. And so when I look at this game, a fully healthy Tennessee, a banged up Missouri, I just think this is a bad spot for Missouri, right? Missouri, I have been impressed by them all year. They started out 7-1 overall, but now you're going back home after the Georgia game. And I think there's this presumption, if you're not a college football diehard, well, Tennessee, they're kind of a finesse past the football. No. Tennessee is a line of scrimmage football team this year, leading rushing offense in the SEC this year. It sounds crazy. It's not Alabama. It's not Georgia. It's not Kentucky with Ray Davis, who leads the SEC in rushing. It's actually Tennessee, and they have a top 20 defense as well. Their defensive line gets after you. And so for Missouri, banged up coming out of the Georgia game, I just think this is a bad matchup at a bad time. Now, the good thing is Missouri in general has been a pretty good run defense this year. That is how you cut off the head of the snake against Tennessee, make Joe Milton make plays with his arm. But I'm just not sure that's something that will happen in this game. As far as an official pick, I do like Tennessee to cover the 1.5. They're healthier. I like the matchup for them. Obviously, you're on the road. It's a big CBS game. The crowd's going to be great in Columbia. But I just think if you had to play this game, this is the time to do it. Missouri is far from 100%. You are close to 100%, as I've said a few times now. And Missouri, look, the pass defense is good, but it's not elite by any stretch. So, if you take away some of the run game, I still think Joe Milton can make plays. Go ahead and give me Tennessee to win and cover the 1.5.